Well, Neil, you come into this game knowing a point will be enough.
Yeah, I think everybody does, don't they, at this stage of the season? It's natural, really. I think if he didn't get nerves, there'd be something wrong, really. I think we all know how important the game is. It's strange when you play in a team like Sheffield United because they're such a good team, but, are they relaxed and are they going to play better because they're relaxed? You just don't know. So we've just really planned to try and do the best we can. I can't ask any more than what they've done over the last few weeks, the lads. It's been quite an amazing turnaround, really. So to be in this situation is as much as I could have hoped for, really.
How much do you want to get the job done in this game and not leave it to what would be an incredibly nervous final game against Reading?
I mean, I think everybody knows that's what we'd want, really, to put it to bed once and for all. But football's football. You just don't know what's around the corner, and there'll be a lot of people down south hoping we don't get the result. Which is natural, really. Everybody's got to look after themselves, But we prepare, right, and like I said, the lads are in really good spirits. We've played some good football the last few games. One or two things gone against us, when we've had letters back from certain areas saying we should have had this, should have had that. But I suppose that's life, really. You've just got to get on with it.
What have you made to Sheffield United this season and the job that Paul Heckingbottom's done there?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, I don't think he actually got enough credit, really. I think because they had horrific injuries at one part of the season, and he never moaned about it. He just came through. And I do think, I said it at the time, Stuart McCall appointing Stuart when they did. I mean, I know how good Stuart is to have alongside you. You need that steady Eddie. And as soon as he signed Stuart, I thought that's the best signing he'll make. And together, I think they've done everything really, really well. Jack Lester's there as well, a lad who played for me. He was the best diver I've ever seen in my life, Jack. I used to watch his dives and I couldn't tell who touched him. It was amazing. I tried watching the video back. I still couldn't see it.
And Heckingbottom has talked about wanting to get your record. It still stands, doesn't it? The points you gained with United in the Championship. He wants to beat that. So he's got something to play for. That could add an extra edge to the game.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of what my points tally is. I was just so pleased to go up when we were at Sheffield. But it's great. I mean, I think that the whole league's been wide open this year. I think people wrote Sheffield United off a little bit in the latter stages, and then they had to show us a good resolve, and other teams dropped points then. And I think, you are where you are. They deserve it. And I don't think, I know it might sound a little bit, but I think next season, obviously depending on the support that Paul gets, the backing, I think they'll hold their own in the top flight. I've been really pleased with all the people that got promoted, really, this year.
A lot of people wrote Huddersfield off this season. Amongst all the achievements you've had in your career, where would this rank if you could keep this side up?
Well, it would be the biggest achievement. I mean, I think we're 7 points adrift and had all the top teams to play, 9 out of the top 10 to play. And the confidence was a bit low as well when we came. But I cannot fault Ronnie Jepson coming with me, and he's done a great job, and the rest of the staff's mucked in, and the players have responded, and that's all you can ask as a manager. You want your team to, yes, we've made mistakes, but they've been honest mistakes and cost us points over the period. But I think if you'd have said to me when I came in and looking at the fixtures, we'd have a chance to stay up 2 games to go, I would have snapped your hand off. So, you can't get too carried away. You've just got to get on with it.
It's not giving you the hunger to think, I could be back here doing this full time?
No, and I can't work 10 months, Kirsty. I'm a 2.5 months man now. So you never know next February, do you?
Keep the phone on at that time, yeah? Well, talking of which, we've seen other experienced managers get the call up recently. We've got Roy Hodgson back in the Premier League doing the business at Palace, and now we've got Sam Allardyce back as well. Is it nice to see that experience valued, and does it prove just how important it can be?
I think sometimes you just need a sort of level-headed, really, and it didn't surprise me with Leeds, if I'm honest. I thought if I'd have got a point on Thursday night, they might have rang me on Friday. But joking apart, I think Sam's. I think it needed a change, and I look around everywhere, and there's so much at stake for these teams, isn't there? Really, financially and everything, and the hierarchy at these clubs, they make the decisions now. They have to stand by it. I mean, Roy. It didn't surprise me about Roy doing well because he knows all the squad there, and they're a really exciting bunch of forward players there. So that didn't surprise me at all. But I think it's just one of those things. I think flavour of the month. Sometimes the young managers, then the old ones come back, then it goes again to the young managers. You just have to enjoy it while we can. I've enjoyed every minute, even though we've had some 4-0 drubbings and things like that, but it's not deterred me from enjoying it. And I really pleased how the lads have responded, really. I've been proud of them a few times.
You had to do a job in quite a short space of time here, but 4 games for Allardyce, is that enough?
I'll tell you, really, at the end of the season, I haven't got a clue, really. I mean, obviously, they felt they've had to change something. I don't think they could get anybody better in at this stage if they were going to change it. The fixtures look pretty horrendous, don't they? But you just never know. I look at the other teams down there, and they've got to get points. So, I think Leeds, might get away with 1 win out of the 4 of them. You just don't know at the Premier League. People are beating each other and making hard work of it. Strikers missing easy chances, which is a nightmare for managers. But that's how it is. So it's just one of those things. We've got enough to worry about without them.
Yeah, you don't want to see any missed chances, do you, against United?
No, we don't. No. I mean, we had 20. I didn't realise the other night we had 20 odd shots the other day, and we could have put it to bed then, really, with the chances that we had. But I don't think my teams, I don't think they make it easy on themselves, really. So it wouldn't surprise me if it went down to the wire.
All the best.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kirsty. We'll come to Paul Ogden from BBC Radio.
Hi, Paul.
Hi, Neil. I'm interested to know how you think your younger players, Neil, will cope with this cup tie atmosphere. I mean, they feel like 2 cup ties against the Blades and against Reading, if you need the Reading one. It's the young guys particularly.
I think the youngsters. People told me when I first got into management, and I was 1 or 2 of my promotions at Notts County, I had a couple of 18-year-olds, and they all said to me when we got to Wembley, the 18-year-olds, will they be that nervous and what have you? What will you do to them? They were the ones that play with the freedom, the 18-year-olds. It was the old men that panicked and got a bit nervous. So I don't think you can tell, really, in that situation. I just want us to play like we've been playing, really. And you can't guarantee results, but I think we've been as good as anybody in the last, I think we lost 1 in 9 games now, something like that. So we just got to continue with that.
I certainly see a much more mature Jack Radoni, Jaheim Headley, who you're given a chance to as well, in the time that you have been at Huddersfield Town. Their game has evolved, their personalities as well. Do you see that as well on the training ground and as a manager of such experience?
Yeah, people like Ruffles and Karoma, they've blossomed, really. Even the backup, I call him Reg, but somebody green, what's his name?
Rahmani.
Sorry?
Rahmani.
I call him Reg. He's blossomed as well. They've all come out the woodwork, really, and they've shown what they can do. And some of the young lads have done really well as well. Kian came into the squad a few weeks ago and did well. So it's an exciting time, I think.
Do you particularly want to get the job done against Sheffield United to avoid the tension, potentially very high tension, of a final day against Reading?
No, I don't. I'd rather lose the game and then have the final game against Reading to be the decider. Is that what you want to do?
Well, you're sometimes different than other managers, so it's an honest question.
Well, what do you think?
The only thing is, Neil, we love a playoff final. We love final day tension. Mark Robbins engineered it once against Barnsley when both teams needed a point to stay up, and it somehow seems written in the stone to me that we're heading for that again.
Well, I'll talk to you about that on Saturday when I do the press conference.
Why is Sheffield United so good on the field? What's been different about them and Burnley this season?
I think they've got good players who are playing as a team on and off the field. I think they're a good group. I've been down a couple of times, and I was very, very impressed with the camaraderie there that Paul's brought to the club. And I think that's what you need. When I've got my promotions, they've always been good groups of lads. One having a bad game, another one gets you out the cart, and so forth. And I think a lot of people wrote them off a few weeks ago. And, they've shown what they're made of, really, by coming back strongly.
One of the reasons I asked you the question, Neil, is because when you first arrived here, you honestly said, well, against Burnley, it's a free hit because they're so good, they're so far ahead. In different circumstances, you could be forgiven for even saying that about Sheffield United because of what they've achieved. But is it realistically an opportunity for your team to win or at least get a point?
I think now, if we played Burnley, there would be a different situation. I don't think there's anybody in the league that we have to worry about. I think we have to worry about ourselves, really. I've always thought the Championship's wide open. At that time when we played Burnley, we were a million miles away from Burnley. Now I don't think we are. So, we just got to try and play them at the right time. I wish we were playing. We were playing Burnley now, and not when we played them.
I'm sure you sense this as well, Neil. The town is so excited, the fan base. How much importance does the chemistry between the crowd and the team potentially have for this game against Sheffield United?
It makes for a really good atmosphere. I don't think there's any doubt it will be a good atmosphere. I mean, for 2,000 fans to go to Cardiff at 12 o'clock kickoff on a Sunday, I thought it was quite amazing that some of the Premier League this weekend didn't take that many away from home. So it was all credit to the fans. They have got behind us, really behind us. And whatever the situation, I know I can hold my head up that I've done the best I can. Are you with me? And I think the fans know that. It would be lovely for me to get it over the line and so they could plan ahead. But we've just got to see what happens now. Anything's possible in the Championship.
Brilliant, Neil. Thank you. Is it worth me asking you about team news? You're not going to give any secrets away anyway.
No, I don't think there's anything untoward anywhere in here. I don't think we've lost anybody in particular. Gained a couple of young lads, but that's all.
All the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. We'll come to Stephen from the Examiner in the room next, please.
It up. Hi Neil, you mentioned you think it might be a different story if you played Burnley now. What do you think the differences have been from those early days of your reign?
I think we're more of a team now. I think we're a threat. I think we're defending better, and as a group, I think we're working very hard for each other. Goals still seem to be a difficult thing, and yet we scored a couple on Sunday. But disappointing, really. We missed 2 or 3 easy chances after that. So it's nice to create chances, and I just think as a group, the lads have grown up. We were all over the shop, really, that second and third game when I came in, and there were so many problems. But we've worked on it, and the lads have listened, and I think they've made it far put a level playing field now. I think wherever we play now, we have a chance of winning. I didn't see that early on, if I'm honest. But you need to start coaching your players what to do, and they've listened very, very good. Yes, we haven't sometimes, and I would imagine tomorrow we haven't got a lot of possession, but I don't think we've ever been a base of that sort of level. Are you with me? Possession base. I look at what you do in the other half, more or less.
There is a balance, isn't there, with only needing a point, but also knowing that if you sit back and just let Sheffield United come at you, they're probably going to break you down eventually. Yeah,
I mean, there will be times where we're sitting back anyhow because Sheffield United are so good. They'll have the ball and we'll be defending. I mean, that's inevitable. But I wanted to try and win the game. If I'm honest, that's what I'm set out to the lads. There's no reason why we don't go and try and win the game, even against a good Sheffield United side.
You've got some positive selection decisions in your front line as well, haven't you? With Joe Hungbo coming off the bench, but Josh Grome has been in good form here as well. Wardy's been in good form. There's the right kinds of decisions to make at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody wants to be involved now, but you just have to look around and see if you think anybody needs a rest, for example. With 2 games to go, Substitutions are important as well, so I'll be looking at that intensely, but nothing else changes really. We just got to, the training session's been very, very good today, as it has been since I've been here. Really, we got better each week. I think the team's got better each week as well. So I'm looking forward to playing. It'll be a good atmosphere, good crowd. Sheffield will be celebrating again at the back of the goal there. So I think it promises to be a good game.
Where do you see Sheffield United being a threat to you?
Well, I think everywhere really. There's no such one thing. You've got centre halves who end up as right wingers and right wingers at full backs, and that's what a good teams do. They look after each other and interchange, and they've got very good strikers. And Dye, I think is an exceptional young man. Whether they can keep him or not, I don't know. He's had an exceptional season, and the other strikers have not done bad either.
Is it a case of, as well, just treat this as a standalone game, get the players not thinking about Reading at this point?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, you just one at a time, really. We've got to try and win it. Like I say, let's go out and normal game like we have done, and try and win the game. We know it's going to be difficult, but listen, if we were playing fourth from the bottom, I know we're fourth from the bottom, aren't we? But if we were playing fifth from the bottom, it'd be just as that difficult, or even the bottom team. There's no such thing in this league as an easy game.
That's all from me. Best of luck.
Thanks, Stephen. We'll come to Leon from the Yorkshire Post.
Hello, Neil. Hello, Neil. Yeah,
Hi, Leon.
yeah. That you touched on a little bit on Sunday, but what happened at Sheffield at the Wigan game at the end of that season. That's just a reminder that nothing's done until it's done, is it? Really, you can't. It's a little warning. You've got to get over the line. It could go right to the end.
Well, I'm only concentrating on Sheffield United, Leon. So that's my only thought at the moment. If you want to ask me about that on Sunday or whenever I'm doing my press for the next game, please feel free to.
Right. I'm with you. I mean, everyone's come together as the town, the fans, the club, in a short space of time. That must give you a bit of pride, I would have thought, because it was a bit when you first came in. It was a little bit. The situation was a lot different, wasn't it? I mean, it was.
Yeah, I don't think you get jobs now that are perfect for you, Leon. There's always a problem when you come into a club, and I think that's how it's been all my career. Anyhow, you have to go in and try and work out how you get the best out of the group that you've got to get you out of trouble, and then move on as a club. A little bit different for me just coming in for these games, not thinking too far ahead. But I know how important it is for the club to sustain the championship status, financially, and especially with the new owners coming in. So it is an important time. But I don't think I could do much more, if I'm honest, Leon. I'm doing as much as I can. I'll probably take a sleeping pill tonight. I've not had one of them for a bit. But that's how it is. Football's like that.
When did you think when you sort of think that we might have got a chance here? Because obviously it was difficult when you first came in. You had one or two tough results, but then it started to turn. Is there anything you can sort of put your thing on where you thought, we might have a chance?
I thought the week where we beat I thought Millwall away was instrumental, really. I think that gave the players the belief, and then to go to Watford and then beat Middlesbrough in the space of 7 days. I think that just gave them a little bit more belief than probably they did at first. They've taken it on from there, really. We've played some good football at times, and we have made little elementary mistakes, but that's football, I'm afraid.
Yeah, and I was just ask you finally, obviously Sheffield United, it's a good side, but they're a strong, proper dressing room again in the best traditions, like your era there and everything. And the club's got its identity back, and they're not going to be lying down, are they, tomorrow? It's not in their nature.
Not at all. No, they got some good pros there. They want to finish on a high. So but I'd expect that anyhow from any side. Yeah, that's how it should be in the Championship. I've been a bit disappointed with one or two teams' performances the last few weeks, but that's for another day, isn't it?
It is. Best of luck as always, Neil. Thank you.
Thanks, Leon. We'll come to Jason Mellor from The Sun, top right-hand corner.
Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Neil. How are you doing, mate? Thanks for your time. Much appreciated. just on Big Sam, would you have put him off going to Leeds? Had he rung you for a bit of advice beforehand?
I don't think Big Sam needs any advice. He's been at the top level for many years, so it's an interesting one, isn't it? I don't think it's a bad decision changing at this time, if I'm honest, because I couldn't see him getting another point anyhow. No. Whereas you never know with Big Sam, he's a bit more organised, I think, and we'll think a little bit more on the defensive side what they can do. And like I say, you just don't know how many points is going to be safe, does it? Really? Somebody told me today they could actually lose all the games and stay up.
Yeah. Well, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
I haven't looked in the fixtures, but I'm sure Sam's looking forward to the challenge. It's a massive, biggest club I've ever managed by a mile. I was just there at the wrong time.
More importantly, looking at your game, I think there's still room for a second plinth in St George's Square next to the statue for Harold Wilson. Do you think you'll have one for yourself if you manage to pull this off?
There'll be a few pigeons on there, won't there? Like 2 humans and all.
You're not going to have to be measured up for your statue yet, then, or?
No, not yet.
That's great, lovely. All the best, mate.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Ross Heppenstall from the Mirror.
Hi, Ross.
Hi, Neil. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. You were saying earlier that if indeed you keep Huddersfield Town in the Championship, it would be the greatest achievement of your managerial career. I mean, given you've achieved a record 8 promotions, is that how big you view it if you keep Town up this season?
Yeah, it was when we were 7 points adrift, and you looked at, we were playing 9 out of the top 10 teams, and we got beat 4-0 and 4-some. I think you have to. I remember Ronnie Jepson ringing me. He went to watch the Stoke game before we took over, and I was in New York. And he rang me that night and he said, "Are you sure, Gaffer? I've just watched them play." And I've just looked at the fixture list. But we came over, and like I said, we're in the hat now, aren't we? We've got a chance, so that's all you could ask for. And it would be, yeah. I've not had a bigger escape than this. It really.
Yeah. And I know, obviously, 17 years ago, you took Sheffield United to the Premier League. And is it fair to say the club's still got a place in your heart?
Absolutely. It'll always be my club from being a boy, 4-year-old sneaking under the turnstiles with my dad, up the cop, which was like Mount Everest, all the hot dogs at the top of the steps and the smell of the burgers. And then you saw the pitch, which was like, to me as a young boy, was magical. And I've seen some great players there before your time. Joe Shaw, and then a striker called Doc Pace, who used to score half his goals with his hand. Used to dive and push it in with his hand. And they didn't have VAR in them days.
You just think, though, Neil, that there is a certain romance to it. The fact that you could safeguard your Championship status against Sheffield United, for you, that's a nice story, isn't it?
Oh, it would be fantastic. Yeah, I can't deny that. But I know how difficult it's going to be. Like you say, nothing to play for. People said United had nothing to play for. Well, they didn't last week, and they won 4-1. So I don't think we can take that into the whatever it is. I think we've just got to get on with the game, really.
Yeah, I spoke to Paul Heckingbottom after that game, Neil, and he said he wants to better the record that you set for a points total when you got. I think it was when you got promoted. But in terms of Heckingbottom himself, what can you say about the job he's done, and how good do you think he could be?
I think he's done remarkably well, mate, because I know how bad this injury situation was earlier on in the season, and he just came through that. He never moaned about it, managed to hang in there, got a few points, and then they've just gone up a gear again. And I think it's, when you look at the clubs that have fallen away, and you look at Sheffield United, I think he'd got to take all the credit, and he knows all the players. He knew them before with being doing the youth at the club as well. So he was aware of the background to the club and the history of the club. And I would imagine it's not been straightforward to him with some of the problems he's had off the field as well. He'll be learning all the time. But it's a great club, and I'm sure once the ownership's sorted out, they'll move forward, similar to ourselves, really. But in this case, in a bigger situation with it being the Premier League.
Yeah. Just a final one, please, Neil. You were talking earlier about Big Sam, and obviously Roy Hodgson's done an unbelievable job at Crystal Palace. You know, it says so much about you, with all respect, the older generation who can come in, you know, that old school mentality and perform a job when it's needed most.
Yeah, I just think the Championship's Neil Warnock's. I think the Premier League's Roy Hodgson's and Sam Allardyce's. All right, keep off my patch.
That's brilliant, Neil. Thank you.